A new mural is generating a lot of buzz and inspiration in Camden, New Jersey. It's called Kings and Queens. Siafa Lewis is in the news center to tell us all about it. Hi, Siafa.
Hey, Jess. You know, this assertion may not be a fair one, perhaps. It's not even accurate. But as a lifelong South Jersey resident whose family even lived in the city of Camden for a few months, the prevailing thoughts when mentioning this city, at least for outsiders, people who don't live there, in New Jersey, bordering the Delaware River, are ones of poverty, crime, and a lack of opportunity.
So basically, it's like every other place where the Sun people live. Like every other province in the stand.
But as a lifelong South Jersey resident whose family even lived in the city of Camden for a few months, the prevailing thoughts when mentioning this city, at least for outsiders, people who don't live there, in New Jersey, bordering the Delaware River, are ones of poverty, crime, and a lack of opportunity. But an artist in the city is making sure that children growing up there do not allow those outside perceptions to become their reality. Should you find yourself driving along Federal Street in East Camden, right across from Woodrow Wilson High School, you'll notice something a little different in Dudley Grange Park. It's a mural with gorgeous photos of smiling children who attend a pair of local elementary schools in front of flags of every country on the planet.
It's called Kings and Queens because I believe that every child has within them the ability to be a king or a queen.
Now listen, man. This brother may be the greatest person to ever walk the face of the earth. Okay? He may be Mother Teresa reincarnated into a man. Okay? But just to speak to the whole community as a broader, you know, not just to speak to this brother. Kings and queens, usually, now I don't know, you guys know someplace where it's different, but usually, and by usually I mean everywhere else except for you guys' imagination, the village, the empire, the kingdom, the country, the caliphate, whatever it is, has one king and one queen. Just like on the chessboard. So everyone cannot be the king and everyone cannot be the queen. It's not possible. You need subjects. What Sun people do with this king and queen BS is the equivalent of 1,000 years from now when the liberals finally destroy America. Or maybe 100 years, whatever. Whenever they destroy it, right? And America goes into the history books, into the annals of history. And as we know, America is a glacier glider country. Okay? This is going on there. This is a rung on their ladder. This is a notch on their belt. Okay? So when America goes into the history books and the next group of people, next kingdoms or empires or countries or whatever it is, emerge. And they study in their history. And the glacier gliders in those communities and those countries harken back to the glory days of America before the liberals destroyed it. It would be like those little glacier glider kids and those glacier glider parents running around calling themselves presidents and first ladies. We was presidents and we was first ladies. Peace, president. You sure are a beautiful first lady. Dang. First ladies in the building. Hey, I love this club. I'm looking for me a fine first lady. There's only one first lady and one president at a time. There's only one king and one queen at a time. Everyone cannot be a king and everyone cannot be a queen. You need to stop telling these people that. You're setting them up for failure. Now, failures, most of them are going to fail anyway because of the community or the culture. Most of them are going to fail anyway. But if you tell them they're kings and they haven't built anything, they haven't created anything, they haven't accomplished anything, you tell them they're queens and they haven't done anything worthy of that title, what is there to shoot for? What is there to shoot for? You stunt them when you do that. It's a psychological thing. I can't think of the term right offhand, but you can stunt them by doing that. You trick their brains into thinking they've already accomplished great things. When look at these kids in the first and second grade, and you're calling them kings and queens. It's not even like you're talking about like Michelle Obama. Okay, you could call her a queen because she reached the heights coming from the stand. Now, Obama, he's from Hawaii, raised by all glacier gliders in Hawaii. And he showed up in Chicago when he was 25. So, if y'all want to take credit for that, fine. But Michelle Obama from Chirac, grew up, went to school there, high school, elementary school, everything, achieved that height. You could, whatever you think about Mike, Big Mike, that's your opinion. However, you could call her a queen, all right? Oprah Winfrey, she's risen to the financial heights. Like, she has her own network. She literally has her own network. And I watch a lot of shows on there. I used to watch Queen Sugar, Iyanla. Love Iyanla. I haven't checked it out in a while, but a lot of shows on that channel. She has her own network. Okay, you can call her a queen. Okay? Robert Smith. Magic Johnson, Michael Jordan, okay? Even if you wanted to call Diddy a king, I wouldn't, or Jay-Z, I wouldn't balk at that. But we're calling little kids and homeboys on the corners, what's up, King? Ain't nothing, man. Had to let off some shots on the ops, man. Oh, word, King. Be safe. Like, what are we doing?
It's called Kings and Queens because I believe that every child has within them the ability to be a king or a queen. I believe that all children are birthed by God, really. And in that, I want them to know that they are more than their circumstances. They are more than what the media says about them. I want them to know how regal they are.
Montgomery's motivation with the project was a simple one.
Increase the level of awareness for the young people in this community, to know that they are of value, to know that they are worthy, to know that they are in their pursuit of education, that they could do anything.
Vidra Chandler, project manager for the Camden Community Partnership, worked on this project with Montgomery and sees this when looking at the completed work.
There is so much more to the city and our youth and our people than I think people have the opportunity to know. And visuals like this help us to tell our truest story.
We also heard from one of the precocious young stars of the exhibit, fourth grader Asai Hornsby, on what she sees when she looks at the mural.
I see all beautiful young kids.
Well, we see those beautiful, bright-eyed, smiling faces as well. Eric Montgomery says that his art is his legacy, and his hope is that 100 or 200 years from now, he'll be remembered through his works as a man that cared enough about Camden to document it correctly. Live in the News Center, Siafa Lewis, CBS 3 Eyewitness News.
Very cool. Siafa, thank you. A Brooklyn boy making a name for himself as an actor seen on Broadway and even on your favorite TV shows. And he's now published his own book to teach kids to learn Mandarin Chinese, a language that he learned to speak at the very young age of 3. News.
Dang. He learned to speak Mandarin at 3? Wow. What an amazing kid. Now this kid, he's on the path of maybe one day being considered a king. You know, if he's only on the path, he's not there yet.
Chinese, a language that he learned to speak at the very young age of 3. News 12's John A. Caldwell has his impressive story.
He's a jack of all trades, a musician, a singer, and an actor. At just 12 years old, Richard Phillips Jr. has been seen in popular TV shows and traveled the world, acting in Broadway productions.
When I was little, I was watching this movie and I was so amazed of how the effects were, because it was a movie that involved magic, and I thought that it'd be so cool to be in one of those. I remember thinking that, I want to be that someday.
If his parents are watching, I implore you, keep this kid away from the stand. He's thoughtful, he's articulate, he's well-spoken, He's clearly got a very high IQ. When I see kids like this, I just think about keep them away from the stand. You're doing everything right. You obviously have him around. Let's just be frank, man. Let's be frank, man. This guy not around no Sun Teens, man. And the Sun Teens he around are probably just like him, on a forward path to greatness. You put him around some Sun Teens, they'll be calling him names, trying to call him, LGBT and all this stuff. And this guy's just a very smart, intelligent guy, engaging, bright, smart. It's a very, very awesome kid, man. And the reason I'm saying this is because in this climate we're in, with all this woke stuff, there's this impetus to go back and, to the community. No. Don't go back to the community. Don't have him out there with no picket sign protesting. Keep him doing what he's doing.
When I was little, I was watching this movie and I was so amazed of how the effects were because it was a movie that involved magic, and I thought that it'd be so cool to be in one of those. I remember thinking that, oh, I want to be that someday.
The Brooklyn native has played young Simba in the Lion King Broadway tour, and right now he's playing a double role in the Broadway musical Caroline or Change, a story of a black woman working as a maid for a Jewish family in 1963 Louisiana.
My favorite part about being in this production is like being able to learn about what it was like back then, because I think why this show is so relatable is because the relevance it had not only back then, but the relevance it has now.
It don't have no relevance now. Rosalinda and Maria are doing those jobs now. Sisters got PPP loans last year. All those PPP loans up to $150,000 have been forgiven. You don't have to pay anything back. Only way you have to pay something back is if you took a PPP loan out for over $150,000. Goldman Sachs has pledged billions of dollars to sisters. But only sisters can get the money. And I'm still waiting for those testimonials. Guys, if you see those testimonials on these sisters that got this Goldman Sachs money, please send it to me, because it's almost like that didn't happen, isn't it? Just like that went into the ethers. The Goldman Sachs money that these sisters got. Because my brother was like, man, how come we can't? Nah, it's only for sisters. Glacier Glider women can't get it. Umbritas can't get it. Crouching Tigresses can't get it. It's only for sisters. I need to see some testimonials about that. Like, yeah, I got the Goldman Sachs. I built this and I did this and I started this and did that. Because they've convinced this kid that it's 1963. And look how smart he is. If you convince this kid that it's still 1963, that's some powerful stuff. So we need to see some of those Goldman Sachs testimonials, guys. Look out for that. Send it to me.
My favorite part about being in this production is like being able to learn about what it was like back then, because I think why this show is so relatable is because the relevance it had not only back then, but the relevance it has now.
Richard is bilingual, and when he's not acting, he's working on books like this, where he teaches other kids to learn Mandarin Chinese. After learning the language at a young age, he now wants to help people of all ages learn the basics of Mandarin Chinese.
I think that helping other people achieve their goals, learning another language, having that education can be really empowering, and I'm glad that I was able to accomplish that.
And as he continues working to publish a second and third edition of his book, Learning with RASP, he's hoping to show other kids that the sky is the limit on what they can achieve. In Crown Heights, Johnny Caldwell, News 12.
Well, tonight, a school administrator has resigned after an allegation surfaced that he made a racist comment to a student. Well, now the star athlete is speaking out exclusively to News 12's Nadia Galindo. She tells us what he says needs to change.
Students documented their walkout at Iona Preparatory High School in action in support of a classmate who says an administrator made a racist comment.
Part of my job is, as an athlete, as a student, as a black kid, it's to make sure that people know that the stereotypes and things like that aren't true.
We spoke.
But they are true. They're so true. You have on a shirt, a hat that says dirt bags. Okay? Now, you're a very well-spoken young man. I like the way you talk. You don't sound like a hoodlum. And you go to a preparatory school. And don't worry, we're going to go to the Great Schools app. We're going to get to the Great Schools app in a second. But all those stereotypes you're talking about, young man, they are true. They're all true. But I want to see how sensitive this. I just want to see how sensitive this kid is, and these kids are. What this guy said.
Part of my job is, as an athlete, as a student, as a black kid, it's to make sure that people know that the stereotypes and things like that aren't true.
We spoke to former Iona Prep star baseball player Tony Humphrey, who withdrew from the school after he says an administrator said this to him on the track.
And he comes up to me and says, "Oh, I thought you're already fast as is." I go, "Yeah, I'm decently fast." And he says, "Oh, how'd you get so fast?" He was running from the cops, and it just came out like that.
Probably was joking with you. He probably thought you was just going to be like, laugh or something. Like, I joke with, now he probably shouldn't have, he probably had some rapport with this kid. It wasn't as much as he thought it was. It mixed with the times, because this kid found gold. You got to understand, like Jason Whitlock talks about this all the time. Finding racism now is like literally like finding gold. Okay? It's very hard to find, and when you find it, it's very valuable. And it can serve you in a myriad of ways. So this kid, it's more valuable for this kid to be a victim of the rare, and let's be honest, man. This new racism is kind of like, this is kind of like racism light. Like, that didn't affect him in any way. Had he laughed and said, "Oh yeah, is that bologna I smell? Is it a pack of wet dogs somewhere around? Oh, that's you sweating right here next to me." Like, why did it have to be like, why did he have to fall apart and withdraw from the school? Off to the great schools at. Okay. Iona Preparatory School, New Rochelle, New York. 891 students, grades 9 through 12. Demographics: 68% glider, 12% sunman, aka a very safe and nurturing environment. These kids don't have to worry about nothing at this school. And then you have the Hombritos and the Crouching Tigers, and you have just a lot of, different groups. This review says, "I find the faculty and staff to be one of the best schools I've come across. The teachers are truly concerned for all students. I do not find there is any racism at all. Issues with students are addressed as quickly as possible. Student behavior is also addressed on an as needed basis. Any student from pre-K through 8 can walk those halls, and his name is known by all. It is a great learning environment and a very encouraging environment. This school has more of a family feeling to it." This one says, and this is 2016 when this comment was left, "I find the faculty to be knowledgeable, cooperative, and encouraging. The students get along very well. One can see Christian values lived out through their interactions with one another and service trips they perform to help ones in need. The student body is less than 200. Therefore, the faculty and staff know nearly every student by name. Iona provides a wonderful learning environment." So the tuition at this school is $17,200. So that kid, maybe his parents paid, maybe he's on financial aid. We don't know. The SAT average at this school is 1250. Wow. That's high. And the ACT is 30. So this is a very high school. 86% of the school students feel safe. 71% of the students say they feel happy there. Very small classroom sizes.
My job is, as an athlete, as a student, as a black kid, it's to make sure that people know that the stereotypes and things like that aren't true.
We spoke to former Iona Prep star baseball player Tony Humphrey, who withdrew from the school after he says an administrator said this to him on the track.
And he comes up to me and says, "Oh, I thought you're already fast as is." I go, "Yeah, I'm decently fast." And he says, "Oh, how'd you get so fast?" He was running from the cops, and it just came out like that.
This as the nation reckons with police violence against Black Americans.
It just shows that racism is a thing.
Tony says it was the school's assistant director of athletics, Bernard Mahoney, who made the comment. Iona Prep administrators did not confirm his identity, but did say the school employee has since resigned. Tony says this comment is just the tip of the iceberg.
The whole program needs to change. It's not just one person. It's not just one student.
In June of 2020, we spoke to 4 graduating Iona Prep football players after a fellow player posted a racist comment on Snapchat.
So this guy's complaining about do you remember during the height of the Blackistanian spring and the summer of George Floyd, where everyone was putting black, their avatars were just black backgrounds, blank black backgrounds, to, solidarity. And he made a joke about that. He said, now it's time to say something. But you animals for doing this, because now my entire Instagram feed is a bunch of blank black pics. Like, I need supermodels. And full sins to keep me living. Can't I have anything nice no more? Today should be a nice Tuesday. Today should really be a blank Tuesday. Make things interesting. Blank this black scream. Post it on your story, not your main. This kid said, look, he said a bunch of stuff that, about, things that were going on Instagram. So he's a racist. Fine.
In June of 2020, we spoke to 4 graduating Iona Prep football players after a fellow player posted a racist comment on Snapchat. Iona Prep's administration says they do not condone the latest comment. The school's president apologized to Tony and acknowledged there is more work to be done, adding in a statement, "We remain fully committed to being an open, welcoming, embracing, and nurturing community where every young man holds a special place in the brotherhood of Iona men." And while Tony won't be here, he hopes future students won't have to experience the racism he did. In New Rochelle, Nadia Galindo, News 12.
Humphrey's parents tell us Bernard Mahoney did reach out to them over email to apologize. Iona Prep's president says the school recently held a 3-week respect campaign. He says the school remains actively engaged in addressing systemic racism.